perfect.
Something to drink?
I'm good.
Okay.
I've got water. Do you guys need water?
No.
And I've also got baby carrots if you
Have that urge.
if you have an urge.
Okay, so we are officially on. So we are here with our video recording of Dana Childs and her My Dream is Possible video, but more so just to hear her really cool story that Carly and I had a chance to.
Do I talk to the camera or do I talk to you?
Either one.
Okay.
But we're just having it looks like you're kind of looking at the camera
Okay.
anyway.
Because that's way more comfortable.
Yeah. Very weird. I could sit like this. Okay, so tell us in whatever you want to. Okay, let me back up. When Carly and I sat with you at Panera Bread, thanks to the connection from Lori,
Yes.
which was just a really, really cool connection. I know we were sitting there and kind of like, wow, that's just some cool story stuff. So without going through like an hour-long description,
Right.
could you maybe tell us who you are, how you got here to Charlotte? Let's back up. Who you are, however you want to tell your story about what your background was from working at the bank, had the decision, got permission, went and did what you did, sold the house in 2 weeks and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So just a crazy story. So just fill us in on that.
Okay, like in a couple minutes.
Yeah. And if it goes longer, it doesn't matter, so we'll cut in pieces.
Yeah, so I'm Dana Childs, and I've been in Charlotte for 15 years. I came for college, didn't leave, stuck around. Was teaching, went abroad, came back, still teaching, got hired by the bank, was a banker, and liked it for a while. And then it just got really banky and really corporate, and I needed to change. I was really unhappy, and I thought, why am I grinding my wheels every day doing this? And it was, because I owned a house. So I thought, I'll just put the house on the market, see what happens. I was lucky enough to be able to get permission from my dad. Not that we, have to get permission, but I did. And I had made this list of what were my options, what could I do that would make me happy. And it was just a list of about 10 things on a piece of paper. I could go to massage school and enclose my garage and stay at the bank until I needed to. 10 different things. And the last thing I put on there just for kicks and giggles was I can sell the house, quit the job, and go travel, see whatever I want to see. And so when I called up my dad and I said, I might be unemployed and homeless soon because I really am not having a good time. And he said, I'll come home, take a breather. So I went home for the weekend. And I basically went down the list. I said, here are my ideas, here's what I've got. And I got to the last one, and he said, well, that sounds nice. Like your face kind of lit up when you said that. And I said, yeah, but Dad, that's not realistic. I mean, I'm 30X years old, 33 or whatever years old, and I have the house and the car and the job and the dog and the whatever people want. And he said, yeah, but are you happy? And I said, nope. And he was like, well, it's just stuff. Sell the stuff, get rid of the stuff, and just go. You're young. Go do what you want. See what you want. You won't have this chance again. Just go do it. So I did. I came back, put the house on the market. A realtor said it'll take 180 days minimum. And I said, no, it won't. And he said, no, it will take 180 days. Nothing's really moving, nothing's selling right now. And I said, no, but I'm ready to go. And he was like, 180 days. And I said, okay. 6 days later, 2 offers, a bidding war, home was sold. Within 30 days, everything was closed, done. And I packed a backpack and went to India first.
And I know I asked you to go through it kind of quick, which was awesome, but I had forgotten all the details about making the list.
Oh, right.
Could you, don't worry about time, because I think that's was an incredible thing, because you just threw the one thing on there for kicks and giggles.
Right.
Kind of. Could you tell me that story again? Don't worry about the camera.
Yeah,
like
about the list. And so
and talking with your dad?
Yeah, I will. Well, and back to the job. So I was in this very corporate job and very corporate environment, and I knew that I've known about myself since college that I love to travel. Well, I had this job, and then I had a friend of mine who I was sitting across from, and I had just learned that the job was going to be secure for another year, and he had as well. He also a banker, and he is Asian American and had never been to China, where he's from. And he said, well, let's go to China. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll go. And he said, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's plan it, let's go. So I took a 2-week vacation, and he did as well, and we went to China. And we had not hung out before. We got to China and went, this could be really bad. We could not get along. Like, this may be terrible. And it was actually great. And I came back after 2 weeks from China, back into the banking job, and I was excited and like loving life. And it was because I learned stuff. You know, I learned a little bit of that language. I learned about silkworms and seeing the making, and then how they make the silk, and how they make blankets, and how they make scarves, and all these different things. And then after 2 weeks of being back at work and in this environment, exactly, it just started like, oh, this is just not working. And it was, I needed to learn and I needed to go. And I started recognizing that this environment wasn't right. And I thought, well, what's going to make me happy? If I could do anything, what would I do? Well, I'm a healer. That I know, and I've always known, but I mean, what does that mean? And how do I do that? And how do I wake that up? And what do I need to study? And I thought, well, massage is really healing, so maybe I go to massage school. And I sat down and I thought, I have all these responsibilities, so I need to make a list and just like, what can I do? What are my options? So the first thing I put on there was, I keep my job at the bank. I go to massage school. I enclose my garage, make it a studio, and build a business that way. And the other one was, I go to massage school, I get through with massage school, I quit the bank, I go from there. There were 10 different things, and the last thing that I put on there was, well, might as well just go all out here, and just for kicks and giggles, I will sell the house, and quit the job, and travel and go wherever I want, and learn whatever I want to do. And, looking at really the first 9 things as being the more status quo, this is what I should do and how I should go about change. And then when I went to visit my dad to get some support and let him know, I'm really unhappy, which he knew already. When your dad starts calling you every day going, hey baby, how are you? Something's not right. Like, you're not happy. So I just kind of regrouped because it was really bad. Things at work were also not good. And I was fortunate enough to, at the time, have a really poor manager, and fortunate enough at the time to have a really terrible environment that just gave me the push that I needed. So when I went home and I said, I'm about to be unemployed and homeless, and I'm just going to send my keys back to the bank because I am miserable, headed for a nervous breakdown. I'm miserable. And he said, okay. Well, I said, well, I made a list, and he's like, let's hear it. Let's hear your options, and we'll figure this out. And I said, all right, well, here's the list. Number 1, blah, blah, blah. Number 2, read them. Number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9. And I went, and there's number 10. He's like, okay. And I said, sell the house, quit the job, go travel wherever I want. And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. Your face lit up. That sounds great. I said, Dad, are you kidding? Like, you gotta be crazy. I have the house, I have the car, I have the job, I have the dog, I have the whole, the whole bit. Like, I've got what everybody thinks they want. And he said, yeah. And is it making you happy? I said, not so much. Nope. And he said, okay, well, baby, that's just stuff. It's stuff. Get rid of it. Sell it. Do whatever you want with it. Go do what you want to do. Go see what you want to see. Experience what you want to experience. Everybody talks about this. A lot of people don't do it. You have the means. You have the time. You can quit the job. Go do it. Go do it. It's stuff. And if you really want the stuff and you miss the stuff, when you get back, get a job and buy the stuff back. It's stuff. It'll be here. And he proceeded to tell me about how they've, owned this house that I have lived in since I was, in middle school. And he said, if I could do it differently, I wouldn't own a house. I'd be traveling right now. I'd be out doing stuff. I'm like, well, okay, why don't you? And he's like, well, it's different. You got responsibility, So I think there's a bit of my dad wanting to live vicariously as well. But yeah, so I was lucky enough to be encouraged. And God, to think about what if I hadn't put that on the list? Like, what if I didn't put that? What if I didn't just throw caution to the wind and put that down? That wouldn't have been an option. It wouldn't have been discussed. I might be still working at the bank. Oh, yeah, that makes my head hurt.
Before going on to India and everything, because that right there was money. That was awesome. That little snippet.
Hey.
I think we all know there's a lot of people who might be in that situation as well. If they wrote a list, that something like that might be on that list.
Right.
But for whatever reason, 1 through 9 seem to be more important.
Right.
Where they know internally. Maybe they don't know consciously, but they know that this number 10 is really, really, really what I want to do.
Right.
So I know this has not been prepped or anything, but like, what would you say to somebody who is in that place where you were?
Well, get out. No. Really, just you got to think about.
And they might be really struggling with the decision, like, what do I really do, or is
Right.
this really what I believe,
Right,
or what I
or
feel?
what are people going to think, or what are, yeah, there's you just got to throw caution to the wind. I mean, we get so caught up about what are we doing, our responsibilities, and do we have what we're supposed to have at this age, and are we doing what we're supposed to do at this age, and are we married by this age, and do we have kids by this age, and do we have the house, and do we own, and we get so caught up in that we forget who we are. So it's really about just sitting down and being with yourself and being quiet enough to hear what your heart wants, because we get so caught up in everything that we don't listen to ourselves. So really, if not your head, not what you should do, but what you want to do, and tap back into that desire. And what is that desire? If you could do anything, if money were no object and responsibility were no object, what would you do? And then maybe that's the better place to start, rather than, well, here's what I could do and here's what would be easy to do. But just, if nothing else mattered, if I could do anything in the world, what would I do? And then go from there, because there's a way to make that possible. It's just we don't see it when we start looking at what we should do versus what we desire to do. So that getting in touch with that desire is really important. And I was lucky enough to have had that trip to China that got me back in touch with that core desire of travel and learning about other cultures, ultimately learning about self.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, so now let's get into India, Australia, and that whole story.
Yeah.
So again, don't worry about the time limitations, but and the details are in the store, or the details are in the story. The story is included in details, whatever. So we want details and all that stuff. But
Right.
kind of let's do a fast forward through, and then we'll pick and choose
Gotcha.
some stuff. So we've made the decision. We've decided this is what we're going to do. So 2 weeks later or 6 days later, offers on the house, and it's time to go. So
Right. So, well, there is actually this book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, I think is the author, and there's this little line in there that says, when you desire something with all your heart, the universe conspires to help you do it. That is a paraphrase. I'm not the author. And that, I was lucky enough to have read that book. One of my students, actually, when I was teaching, had recommended that. And that is so what happened. After the decision was made, the home was sold in 6 days. I moved out. I had friends who have a nice large home that said, we have a guest room in the back, come and stay with us until you go. And at this point it was, well, I know I'm going, and I know I'm pulled to India. The end. That's all I knew. I have a backpack and some stuff, and where do I go, what do I do? So I stayed with them for a couple of months, and I knew it was India, that's all I knew. And I thought, well, I don't know how to choose, I don't know anything about India, and here's a map. And so I closed my eyes and I went, I'll go here. And my finger landed on a place called Chennai, which is on the east coast. And it was a big city, and I thought, well, I'm not really looking for big cities. So I flew in and had the one thing that I pre-planned was I had pre-booked a taxi to get me from there to Mamallapuram, which is a little small beach town, and a guest house for 3 days, because I thought I don't want to show up in India at 3 in the morning and not have anywhere to go and be stuck at the airport. So the taxi picked me up, and we drove past a lot of cows and a little theme park called Dizzy World. That would be Dizzee, which was awesome. And it got to this little, guest house, and I get in there, and I'm checking in, and there's no hot water, there's no sheet, there's no, it's 3 in the morning, and what are you going to do? And I've been traveling for 30 some odd hours. So I just crashed, and I'm thinking, I have screwed the pooch on this one. Like, I don't know what I've done to myself, but this is bad. This is bad, not going to be good. I mean, there was no soap, and I wasn't thinking like, wow, this is third world, you got to plan ahead. Luckily, I had brought toilet paper, so leg up. So the next day I went out, and I thought, I've really, this is bad. Like, I've made a mistake. What am I doing? The pharmacist was right. I am crazy, and I should not have come here. And I thought, yeah, this is where I am, so I better just go to the beach. That'll make me feel better. So I walk down to the beach, and I meet a local, and I meet an amazing woman from Spain, an amazing woman from France, and they're women traveling on their own, and we sit and we chat and we talk, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. They can do this. They've been doing this. They've been traveling for a couple months. I can do this. And it gave me hope, and the locals would take me around and show me places, and then I would meet travelers as well. And I didn't plan anything, so I had this freedom, and I knew that I had a visa for 6 months in India. And I thought, well, I'm here 6 months. I'll just go with whatever. And it gave me the freedom to go and see what I wanted. And someone said, oh, I'm going here to see this. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll go too. Or someone else said, oh, I just came from so-and-so. It was really neat. And which train? I'm going to go. And I was able to do that. And before I went, I had read about this woman called Amma. And she's one of the few left living saints in India. She also comes to the States as well, I think. But she's known as the Hugging Saint. And I read about her and I thought, yeah, whatever. And then this girl, so the third day that I'm there, this woman from Spain, Monica, says, hey, I heard Amma, do you know who Amma is? And I said, oh, actually, yeah, I do. I read about her. She goes, oh, well, she's at her ashram where she grew up, and she's going to be there for like 14 days or something. I'm going to go. Do you want to go? And I said, well, yeah, I'll go, sure. So, we hop on a bus, we take a little detour around, and 17 hours later, we end up at this ashram, and we walk in, and literally they say, oh, Amma's giving Darshan. Darshan is what they call when she hugs, and she gives her gifts. She's giving Darshan right now, go get in line. So we literally put our stuff down, run in, and I'm sitting there in this ashram surrounded by people all dressed in white, and I'm in like green pants and a bright yellow shirt. I really don't blend in at all. And I'm thinking, this may not be so much my place. But they're like, oh, get in line, hug Amma. So waiting in this long line, and we get up there, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at a saint. And, okay, what do I do next? And then they come up behind you, they throw you on your knees, and they push you up, and they shove you in, and they wrap your arm around one way, wrap your arm around the other, and they shove your head down, and so you're like, okay, I'm hugging her. And there's no time to think about it. And she says, my daughter, was what she said to me. And I stood up and I walk around and I'm like, all right, I just hugged a saint. I mean, whatever that means. And I walk outside, and as soon as I get outside, it's like floodgates. I mean, I can feel like my heart opens. I start crying. Tears are coming down. And I'm like, oh my God, something just happened. Like, I hugged a saint and something really happened. I mean, just rocked me. And I was able to really delve into those places that she opened up and stay at the ashram for a few days. And then she was giving Darshan again. And I was able to get back in line and go for a second time, and I was much better prepared for that emotional flood that was coming. And it didn't, and it was a lot more peaceful, and it was like, oh, she just gives what you need in that moment. If you need to be open, she'll give you openness. If you need to be just soothed, it's soothing. It's just whatever you're needing. That was an amazing experience. And then from there it was, oh, I've heard about this cool town, the Cliffs of Varkala. And so I go and I spend, I thought, well, I'll go there for a couple days. 2 weeks later, I finally thought I should be moving on now, and it was just just finding out about these different places. So I sat overlooking these cliffs at this beach, and I watched. It's a Hindu pilgrimage site, and the Hindus would go there to release their loved ones, their ashes. And so I sat on the beaches of Varkala, and I would watch these ceremonies and them releasing their loved ones, and they would play in the ocean. It wasn't about the grief and the death and the dying, and it was this, they understood that the body is temporary, and they would play and they would frolic and they would have their families and laugh and giggle as they're letting their loved one go. And I thought, okay, well, if they can do that, I can do that. So I was able to sit down on these beaches and put my feet in the sand and let go of all the stuff I didn't need anymore, all the emotions and the people and the really sorrowful times and the clinging on of I remember that one time when so-and-so hurt my feelings, and I remember that one time when my heart was broken, and all that. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And from there, moved right on up. Spent, thought I'd be about 2 weeks in Kerala, the state of Kerala. 2 months later, I thought it's time to move on. Because they've got jungles, they've got tea plantations, they've got all this amazing stuff, and rafting on the rivers of Alleppey and the backwaters, and then you go up and you find another state and you do something else, and you walk through the Taj Mahal and camel trek out in the desert. It was not high season, it was low season, so I was one of the only tourists around there. So the desert trekking that I went on, which was amazing, but I was the only one. So I'm out in the middle of the desert, and of course the companies told me, oh yeah, there's going to be a group. Yeah, there's not a group, there's me. and the guide. And we're out on the camel and we're riding, and it's at night. So we're laying down on these sand dunes, and he's like, oh, well, set up your bed. Throws down a blanket, and I'm like, oh, gotcha, cool, okay. So I lay out on the blanket, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go see if so-and-so is whatever's over this dune. Like, there's nothing out there. I don't know where he goes. Hours later, I'm sitting out there in the desert by myself. Hours later, he comes back. It's like pitch dark. And he comes back, and there's lights, like way off in the distance, there's lights. And I said, hey, what's that? And he goes, Pakistan. And I went, oh, right. Oh my God, I'm like at the Pakistani border, and it's just this otherworldly thing. And so we keep traveling 4 days. I committed to 4 days in the desert. And on the second day I wake up, there's sandstorms at night. He disappears every night, the guide. So it is literally me sitting in the desert and looking at the star. Oh my God, the sky was unreal and amazing. But then the sandstorms came, and it's like I can't even close my eyes. Sands everywhere. I want to go home. So on the second morning I wake up, and he was back. So he's there, and I looked at him and I said, I'm ready to go now. I want to go. And at this point I had been in India 4 months. So I'm used to India, and I'm used to the heat. It was extreme. I think it was like 120 or 114 out there, and it was hot. And I said, oh, I'm ready to go back now. And he said, why? What happened? What happened? He sang the Barbie girl song. Do you remember that song? I'm a Barbie girl. That was his English. That's the only thing he knew. So he would sing this song as we traveled. Yeah. Awesome.
We can't hold that back.
But it was I'm a camel boy in a desert world, and he would just repeat, and I'm like, oh, where's my iPod? Yeah. So awesome. So so I said, I'm ready to go. I want to go back now. And there's not like you're going to come across wells and showers, and you're just like covered in sand and sludge. And he said, well, why? What happened? What was wrong? And I said, I'm ready to go back. Like, I've experienced this, and it's time to go. And he goes, you're in the middle of the desert. You're stuck. 2 more days. I was like, oh, and I think it was like blip, blip, blip. And I'm like, you commit to something, and so you have to do it. So it was a great lesson there about you choose, you do, you get through, and it wasn't the end of the world. It was just fine. We ended up coming on this little village, and I say village. In my village, I mean 2 shacks that were desert huts, and very interrelated, families, because that was all that was there. And the man, there was a man of about 80 years old. He must have looked 80 years old. None of them spoke English, and I unfortunately did not speak their language either, so it was a little bit of this going on all day. They did bring me this little, was it a goat or a lamb? I'm not sure of the difference. It was cute. It was a baby. And so I got to hold that. So that was great. I just petted it a whole lot. Yeah. And then the old father figure asked me if I wanted to smoke a joint with him. And I was like, no thanks. But then I realized, like, that's what they do in the desert, and that's how they would get through the heat, and that's how they would cope. And it was just this different, like, nothing to judge, but it's just that was their way of life. That's what they did. And it was great to have a little hut from the sandstorms as well, but to experience what their life is like. And then from there I went on up to Rishikesh and met a yogi and did yoga on the Ganges River for 10 days, one-on-one. And this was a yogi who would tear you right apart. And I remember the second day, I'd learned something the first day, and then I'd come back and it was one-on-one, so it was really intense. I'd come back the second day, and he said, I can't remember, camel pose, or whatever it was he said do. And so I'm trying to do it, and he goes, no, it's wrong. Remember, you don't listen to me, you need a new teacher. And I was just like, oh, sorry, sorry. And then he would make me do these crazy things, and I would laugh, and he's like, no, laughing is not funny. You must do, he would make me do cat pose, where you exhale, your spine goes up, and then you inhale, like to a dog pose. And when I exhale, he's like, it's cat, you must make cat sounds, meow, meow. And I kind of giggled, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, it's good for the digestion. And he explained the sound makes your digestion, and when you can feel it. And he did it, and I'm like, trying not to go. He's like, no laughing, it's very serious, must not laugh. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do it, and I, meow, meow. And he dies laughing. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so it was this kind of, relationship that we had over 10 days. It was amazing. And he taught me an amazing lesson, actually. I was very, very sick in Rishikesh. Very, just sick, both ends sick. And he said, well, take this. It was some kind of curd that you put in the rice. Take this curd and put it in, get a bowl of rice and put it in there, and it will make you better. You'll be better. And I was like, what? Does it taste bad? And he's like, yeah, it tastes bad. It's medicine. It tastes really bad. So I take it, out of courtesy, thinking, well, it's American courtesy. Oh, thank you. I take it. I'm like, I'm not taking this stuff if it tastes anything like I think it's going to taste. And I put it in my backpack, and I don't think about it. I'm still sick the next day, and I go back, and he's like, you're still sick? And I said, yes, still very sick. And he said, you took the curd? And I said, I didn't. And he was like, then why did you take it? Why you take it? Why you take it? And I was like, he goes, you're not gonna take? You don't take. Don't take. Bring back. Somebody else take. And it was this great lesson of, don't do it for politeness. You got to do what's right for you. If you're not gonna take it, don't take it. Leave it for someone else. If you're gonna take it, then take it. Take it for what it is, and take it for what it's meant to be. Really great lesson from him. So after 10 days of that, moved on up and just was able to go up into the mountains, into the Himalayas, and I was struggling at this point, just struggling with, I've been here 5 months, or 4.5 months, and what am I doing? Like, I don't know anything more, than I did when I came, and I'm just fatter. Like, I've just eaten a lot of food. What do I do from here? And I met this amazing teacher. She's a woman, she's a doctor, and she taught me about self-empowerment, and she also taught me other things like Reiki and crystal healing and a little bit of shamanism and all these things, but ultimately she taught me about love. And the way she put it was, I had met this person, and I liked him and he liked me, and it was kind of that interesting little scenario that we come across when we travel and we're in a place for a week. But then he hurt my feelings, and he didn't mean to, but he did, and he hurt my feelings, and I thought, here I am chasing love in India, and this is not working out. Like, there is no, I'm not finding that. And so I went to her, and she said, why are you upset? And I said, I don't know. Like, I feel upset. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm never going to find love. I'm never going to be loved. And she said, stop. I love you. If I were a lesbian, I'd marry you tomorrow. I see the light in you. You're amazing. She goes, but I'm not a lesbian, so that's not going to happen. She said, I, love my husband. I'm married to my husband. She goes, but I can love 10 different people at the same time in these full loving ways. I may not marry them all, but I can love them. She said, wherever you go, there's love. You have love. You are the light. You are the love. That's what and it was from there, it was like, right, it's got to be in me first. I can't find that elsewhere unless I find it here. And that was how I left India, because it was time to go. So I left India and went to my next place.
Question for you. Without having things planned,
Yes.
were you a planner beforehand?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for somebody who may be a planner
Yeah.
and have to have details and focuses and things laid out,
Yeah.
what was it like going through those first 3 days, or even the process of getting there with no plan, except those couple things?
Right.
And what would you recommend to people who might be planners, but is there benefit to just opening up and seeing where it goes?
Right. Well, there's benefit to both. So I'm a planner in every aspect of life, except I have to say though, for travel, I've never been a big planner. I backpacked Europe during college, and when I backpacked, I thought I'll just get there and go where I want to go, and that's what I did. So I was used to traveling that way, and of course when I backpacked Europe, I was 21 at the time, maybe 21, and of course my parents said, don't go to Eastern Europe. It's a little bit, dicey. It's a little bit dangerous. Stay. So, of course, the first place I went was Eastern Europe, and I called them and said, hey, I'm in Hungary, and I'm headed to Turkey. But so I'm used to that not planning, and that was comfortable enough for me in travel, but otherwise I am a planner. Now, I did look at guidebooks before I went and thought, well, this will be nice to see. I wanted to have that, what are the big things, what do I not want to miss? You know, so if you are a planner or you're not a planner, definitely you want to have that list of what do I not want to miss. But the not planning gives you that freedom to, when you meet people, to travel with them and go where they go, and to develop these other friendships. Or when you come across something that really catches your fancy, you know, or you really have something to learn from, you can stay longer in that place. And there are pros to planning as well. I guess it would be you may get to see more because you're constantly moving. But I think when you don't plan, it's a lot more serendipitous, and you're able to listen to the universe and listen to yourself and go where you really need to go rather than where you think you should.
Maybe for people who have not heard the language or used the language themselves or whatever it is, in listen to the universe or listen to God or listen to yourself or whatever. With what you do now, well, actually, let's do that. Let's talk about kind of summarize the process and how that led into who you are, where you are now, and then we'll get into some of that other stuff.
Summarize process is in what, the rest of the trip?
Yeah, but just kind of a fast forward through the trip, because I want to get to Dana Childs now, so we can talk about moving forward.
Yep. So from India, I left and went to Thailand, and it was about, and I had, in my head before I went, I planned a very different trip. It was going to be India, Nepal, Mongolia, you know, Cambodia, Laos. So it was all very different, and you know, with weather and things that happen, and with the changes, you feel pulled different places, and so that's what happened. Is I thought, where do I go next? I have no idea where I'm going next, and I had 3 days to get out of India. And I couldn't make it work. I thought Indonesia, and then I couldn't make that work out with visas. And a friend of mine that I hadn't heard from in several months sent me an email and said, I dreamed you went to Thailand. I had a dream last night about you and you went to Thailand. And I said, oh, that's where I'll go. That's where I'm going. I'm going to Thailand. You're right on. So I went to Thailand, and Thailand was about getting back in touch with the body and boxing and fasting and really taking care of, you know, what's the physical part. And the Thais are very much about play. So it was play and ocean and swimming, and just I fell in love with the ocean in Thailand. And from there, I went on to Malaysia and spent a week there, just kind of a stop through. And then went to Australia, and Australia was not on the list anywhere on the list. And I had met somebody in Thailand who had a boat and was going up the coast. And so I ended up in Australia and went up the coast of Australia and learned a lot from Australia. And then by the time I was finished there, it was time to go to Indonesia. I was able to go into Bali and just see what was there for me, and felt like home. And I was there for 6 months in Bali, and I, through weird coincidences, was able to meet this amazing medium, and a medium being talking to spirits on the other side, people who have crossed over. And he actually read he read my ring, actually, this ring. And my grandmother ended up coming through, and she's been passed over for a while, and he was talking about things, and I'm like, I've never met this man. He doesn't know anything more than my name is Dana, and this is real. Like, this is the real deal. And he read me, and then afterward he kept saying, you know, if you have questions or you need anything, you know, call or text, and he said it like 10 times, and I said, Dave, why are you saying? He goes, I don't know. I don't want people to text or call me or email me. I don't know what's happening. He said, I think there's something. Do you have a question or something? And I said, yes. I knew before I left the States that I see things, or I know things and I don't understand it. He goes, yeah, you're supposed to be learning from me. And I said, okay. And he goes, come on Tuesday. Come on Tuesdays. I'm like, well, you know, what's the cost? And he goes, no, this is my gift back. This is my gift back for spirit. Come on Tuesdays. So I went on Tuesdays, and he developed me, and we ended up having this great friendship as well. And medium, you know, you think of typically females and it's feminine based. This was a retired truck driver, boxing trainer, 60-year-old man, would kick your tail in a second, like tell you how it is, and taught me all about how to commune with spirit. And we ended up having this amazing friendship, and we would spend working together like 2, 3, 4 days a week. We'd go to a beach or go to a little place and sit and just work, and he would develop me. So by the time I left Bali, it was, you know, time to come back and put to use what I had learned, which was healing and reading people.
And so you came back to Charlotte when?
Well, I came back to the States in March and spent time visiting people and spent time with my family and did a 10-day silent retreat in Georgia. And that was interesting, but that's a different story. And just did stuff like that, and said I'd never come back to Charlotte. Charlotte wasn't on my list. I had spent a good deal of time here and thought that I had everything I needed from Charlotte. There was nothing else for me here or for me to do here. and then came to visit for about a week, and literally had everything fall in my lap, to the point of someone saying, "Oh, come back and live with us, stay in our guest room in the back." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not coming back to Charlotte, but I appreciate it. No, please, 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 if you come back, stay with us." Okay, if I come back to Charlotte, I'll let you know. You know, at this point, I don't even own a car. I sold my car when I left, so it's like I don't even have wheels to get around. And then I had a friend who said, "Oh, I've got an office space for rent. Come and see it." I'm like, "No, I'm not coming back to Charlotte." "Well, come and see it just in case." So I did that, and then I get back, you know, to Atlanta, and my dad says, "You know, I picked up this car. I bought this car. Why don't you drive it?" I'm like, "Really?" So now I have a place to live, an office to rent, and a car to drive. And I was talking to Dave on Skype, my mentor, and I said, "Well, this is all this, but I don't want to go back to Charlotte." And he was like, "I thought you had degrees and like you were smart." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Didn't you go to college and you have like letters after your name?" And yep, "You're being awful dense here." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's being put right in your lap. There, you're being guided as to where to go, and you're not listening because you're being stubborn. So you're supposed to be in Charlotte for a reason. They want you in Charlotte for a reason. So it's time to take advantage, to go back to Charlotte and see what's there. You don't have to be there forever, but go and see what's there." So I ended up coming back to Charlotte mid to the end of May, and delving into, putting all those things that I learned to work, the healing aspects and the mediumship stuff, and so here I am.
So tell us what you do and where we are and all that wonderful stuff.
Right, so we're in my office that I share with a wonderful friend of mine named Danielle, who does massage. I didn't end up going the massage route, although I learned it in Bali. I learned healing massage. It's just not I'm not licensed, and I'm not comfortable doing it here. It's not what I like. So what I do here is the mediumship work, which is connecting to the other side and reading people, so giving them messages that they may need to hear for things. It could be, we tend to hold on to the past, like things that have hurt, or things that we've been through, or things that we feel blamed for, or that we feel are our fault, responsible for. So it's reading them and getting this information from the other side to be able to see these past events and help them let that go so that they can move forward where they are now, and help them see what's in front of them now a little more clearly, because when we're so emotionally invested in who we are and what we're doing, we don't see the whole picture. So working with the other side helps to lay out really clearly a lot of times, sometimes it can be what the soul purpose is, or it can be what they really need to let go of to move forward, or it can just be shedding light on something that they need. Sometimes it can be about the body, like, Spirit will show me the body and what's kind of going on there, and then what holistically they can do to help themselves. So that's a reading. So that's one of the things that I do, and I love doing that. And the other thing that I do is energy work. And energy work is really specific to each person who walks in the door. It can be really different, but I combine everything I've learned. So from the mediumship stuff and speaking with spirit to the holistic degree that I obtained in India, to the Reiki, to the shamanic crystal healing, to the color therapy, to all these different modalities, Thai massage, and what does that client need on the table? What do they need? And in the body, because our physical bodies store energy. They store things that happen. They store memories. And so what's in this, what's in this leg? And how do we let it go? Or what's in the throat? Why are we getting sick all the time? Why are we getting strep? What's going on in here that we need to let go of to heal our body, to dispel that dis-ease that we've created? So it's working with them to really get more in touch with their physical bodies and to heal those aches and pains and those emotional blockages so that they're happier and able to move forward in their life.
So for somebody who may be skeptical, or maybe not even skeptical, just uninformed or uneducated or skeptical on healing in a non-going to the doctor, quote-unquote, healing way.
Right.
I don't know if there's advice or words of recommendations you would give to maybe somebody who's watching the video, like whether they're here or in California or wherever they happen to be.
Yeah, a lot of skeptics. I myself was, skeptical before. A lot of people who say they talk to the other side, I thought, yeah, right, whatever you do, you're making stuff up. You're saying stuff so general that it can be applied to everyone. And I thought that until I hit on a person who was the real deal and was able to know things, and there's no way that this person can make it up. So if you are skeptical, try it. You don't have anything to lose. Try it and see what it's like. And maybe you find a great person who can help you say, well, it's not fake, or maybe your experience is that you don't. If you're not really ready to believe, then you don't have a good experience. It's kind of what you're looking for. But my advice would be just try it. There's nothing to lose. And as far as the energy work, there are a lot of people skeptical about that because, well, you're not giving me medicine and you're not doing, how can it fix? And I firmly believe there is a place for allopathic medicine as well as holistic medicine. I don't think it's all one way, or all one way is right or all one way is wrong. When things get into the physical body, we may very well need allopathic medicine to help us clear that out. That may need to be an option. But holistically, there's just so much that can be done. And from people who come in here and the experiences they have when they walk out, it's real. It's real. I would say find someone who has tried it and done it and see what their, what they have to say, or what their experience was. Or, if you're really uncomfortable, bring a friend, bring someone with you who can kind of sit and witness it with you. And again, it's just that, try it. Be open to it, try it, and see. You may like it, you may not. You may end up believing in it, you may not. And wherever you are, that's what's right for you at that point in time.
So do you have a thought or a plan or a vision, whether it's all the details and everything in place for the future, and if you were to identify what your dream is, or
Right.
what you feel called to do or led to do or what you want to do?
Right.
Do you have a description of that?
I have a lot of different pieces of that. So because there's so many different things. I mean, the big thing would be having a home base where I feel comfortable to go, be that Charlotte or wherever it may end up being, but have that home base where I can come back and recharge and bring back knowledge, but to continue going out to travel, to picking up other modalities and other ways of spirit, culturally living in spirit, and bringing that back to people who may not be able to go, and helping heal people that way. So that's a big dream, is having that possibility of continuing to travel and learn and bring it back, and go out and bring it back, and go out and bring it back. And I don't see that as being solo. I would love for that to be a community, like some sort of center where there's different people who are interested in different things and do different things. And maybe I travel at one point and I come back, and then maybe a partner goes and travels at one point, and then she comes back or he comes back, or whoever it may be. But having this center where people who may not like to travel or want to travel can come and get healing modalities from all over the globe that have been so that's a big. That would be amazing, and be able to work in different places as well. So be able to go to Mongolia and work there and share what I do there, and be able to bring back what they do there. So be able to take out what I do, and bridge them together. And the other part of that is I'd love to write a book. I kept a travel blog when I was traveling. And I even get nervous saying it because that's such a big dream. That's number 10 on the list. That would be the number 10 is writing a book about not just the travels or the experiences, but then also incorporating that knowledge of spirit and working with spirit and working with the other side, and that kind of intuitive development stuff as well, and putting that all down on paper. It even makes me nervous to say, because that's such a big, that seems so far out there to me. But writing a book would be huge. And those are probably the two big things, but it'd be nice to still find that love one day as well, not just the self-love, which I come in contact with every day now, most days, but that partner love as well, because I think we're in the physical body to find that relationship, that mutuality, that partner that we can learn and grow from, and that would be a great dream as well.
This is really good, by the way. Selfishly, I'm so selfish in wanting to do these videos because I'm figuring out what I can learn to help apply other areas.
Right.
So, are you juggling? For somebody, and this is kind of a off the wall, not off the wall, but kind of a little bit of a different slant. For maybe somebody who is, actually for you, it's probably not off the wall. Somebody who may be stuck in wherever they are in their head, wherever they are in their heart.
Yeah.
And again, in the realm of what we would define as pursuing their dream.
Right.
Doesn't have to be career, doesn't have to be finances, doesn't have to be relationships, spirituality, whatever. Just whatever they see as their dream life.
Right.
Those goals, and they're stuck for some reason. Any recommendations or any thoughts? And I know it's kind of on a general sense. But.
Yeah, no, it's fear. I mean, that's from what I've learned from all the travels, from all the people that I've met. And I met a lot of people who were stuck and were traveling, and a lot of people in my travels who are still stuck, and a lot of people here who are stuck. And there are days when I get stuck, and it's just about, we're stuck because we're afraid. We're stuck because we're fearing something. And we're, usually it's the fearing the loss of something. It's, I mean, if you really look at deep down, you're scared you're going to lose something. So how do you know that, in a sense, you're still really connected to whatever it is you're afraid of losing? What are you afraid of? So finding out what that is, and then how can you still hold on to that in a sense that makes you comfortable enough? Because it's one thing to feel the fear. It's one thing to feel the fear and move through it. You know, it's you stand in the fear, you feel it, and then you move through it. Yes, I'm afraid, and I'm going to do this anyway.
What about, this is along the same lines, but maybe somebody who may feel alone, like you had your dad that you were able to go
Right.
talk with, who from our side sounds extremely supportive or sounds
Right.
extremely intuitive as
Right.
well, and saying, hey, I saw your face light up when you listed number 10, go do
Right.
number 10, and all this other stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There may be some people that don't have they haven't identified somebody in their life that they could do that with.
Right.
Any thoughts or?
Yeah, that's a real hard place to be alone. I'm lucky that I have my dad and my mom, and I have a good solid handful of friends. There are still moments. Saturday night, for example, when I was just in this place when I thought there's not a single person I could call. Like there's not a single person I could call right now. So we all have those moments, no matter if we're really alone or not. And when you're in that place, what connects me? I'll just give what connects me. Running and getting in touch with my physical body, because there was this moment in Bali when I was running on the beach, and I looked out, and there was the most amazing sunset I have ever seen in my life. It was green and purple, and I can't describe it. I didn't have my camera. I don't have a picture. It was unreal, and in fact, I stopped running, and I stood on the beach, and I looked out the sunset, and I looked down the beach, and there were people lined up just looking, because it was that phenomenal. And in that moment, I thought, I don't have my camera. Oh my God, I don't have my camera. I'm not gonna. And I was like, you know what? I've got this. I've got this sunset right here. It's in here. It's in here. I've got it inside of me all the time. And whenever I need that sunset, I can pull it back out. And I have those moments. I have memories of places and things that are right here. I have. If I can't get my dad on the phone, or if I can't get my friend on the phone, well, I've got them right here. It's pulling it back out. And when I find those deep places of loneliness and disconnectedness, which I had on Saturday night in a big way. Yesterday I went to the gym and I started running, and I'm running, and that gets me right back in touch with my body. And then I just went, the sunset. I've got the sunset. Oh right, I've got the sunset. I've got the desert sky. I've got that ocean. I've got Alma's hug. I've got, all those people that I've met. I've got my dad. I've got my sisters. I've got it all. It's just reconnecting to it. So we might be in a room by ourselves, and we can be completely full and smothered in love. We can be in a room full of strangers and be completely lonely. It's connecting here first that's going to help quell that loneliness.
You got any questions? That's good. And we're really good on time too. This will all fit on one CD. We're going to make an audio CD of this, so you can have it to hand out to people if you'd like as well. Without a question coming, well, I'll ask the question, but is there anything that Dana just feels she has to share with the world or with anybody, or just what's on your mind?
Yeah, funny, and I know there wasn't until you asked, but when I was traveling, I had this amazing experience of meeting all these different people, and I met this one person in particular, and we just really kind of resonated, and it wasn't like an intense, like, oh my God, a love, or it wasn't anything like that. He was just a great guy, and he just was really nice to be around, and he taught me how to swim in the ocean. He taught me how to duck under the waves instead of going through them, because I would get plastered by the wave every time. He's like, hey, you gotta go under. You gotta go under. And I couldn't figure out, like, why do I get along? I don't even know him. Why do we get along so well? And there were instances like this with another girl as well. We just really connected. And I was reading this article the other day about how you come across people, you have these contracts with people, and you come across them for whatever energy exchange that needs to happen. Energy transmission, if you want to, call it a big word. So it could be, they need this energy of learning how to play. Or that's what I needed from this kid was I needed to learn how to play, and that's what I learned from him. And it may be that at some point I'm giving someone else an energy transmission, and at that point I may need to give them the energy of really being grounded and settled and calm. And maybe that's the energy transmission. Or it may be that hope, or that joy, or that spark for life, or whatever it may be. But that every single person that you come in contact with, that you meet, that you smile at, that you pass, that you drive past in the car and you catch eyes, whatever it is, there is an energy transfer that happens. And it was really all about, after the travel, just how delicate that is, and how if we're in a bad mood, or we're having a bad attitude day, or whatever it might be, we lose all those opportunities. We forget all that, when we get lonely, or we get disconnected, or we just, that girl made me so mad this morning because she looked at me funny, or, whatever it is. We then lose every opportunity to give someone that energy that they needed, that we contracted for. And I have no idea where that came from, but that just came up.
That was good.
So, okay.
So if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, is it okay to put your contact info with this material?
Yes.
Is there a website,
Absolutely.
an email, a phone number?
There's a website, there's email, and there's a phone number.
A Facebook page,
There's
Twitter,
there's a
you
Facebook
tweet.
page as well. I don't tweet. I haven't gotten into tweeting yet.
Well, can you, just for the sake of video, would you share what all your contact info is as well?
Yes. So email is probably quickest and easiest, and that is Dana.com.